to another episode of
Tools at Tea Time. Oh, thing two, thing one.
Maybe we are causing a little bit of mischief. Okay, so in honor of Dr. Sue's March 2nd, Dr. Sue's birthday, I don't know about you guys, but our school was full of this today. So
leave it on, leave it on.
We're going to do a little bit of quotes by Dr. Seuss. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch this little video. It's less than 2 minutes. And you might have a favorite Dr. Seuss quote, or maybe you're going to see one that catches your eye. Don't stress. Just remember the gist of it, maybe the beginning of it, maybe the ending of it, maybe 3 words that go with it. So then at the end, we're going to put whatever we captured from this on the chat, but don't do anything on the chat, just write it. And then you wait for the words cat in the hat. And that's when you submit it on the chat, and then we're all gonna watch and see them coming down. Okay, so
Got it,
here
thing one.
is thank you, thing two. Here goes Dr. Seuss quotes. Maybe. Oh, hold on, let's try that again. Let's try that one more time. I don't know why it's not there.
Up. I believe in you all. A person's a person, no matter how small.
It's not about what it is. It's about what it can become.
I'm going to stop sharing and just take a couple of minutes on the chat and write down a part of the quote, or all of the quote, or the gist of the quote, and hold it. Don't hit enter until you hear the words cat in the hat. All right, let's go.
You gonna put the hat on?
Yes, I will do that. All right, 10 more seconds. And cat in the hat.
Oh, there's a lot of them on there, Anna. A lot of good ones.
Yes. Very nice.
I like yours, Anna, too. Kevin type is oh, you're gonna reveal Kevin's favorite.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. Well, I hope that brought a little sunshine to your day, because We all need that, right? So we are going to get back over here and let me share the screen again. And Tim, will you please take us on our map?
Yeah, we're going to follow our usual plan today, starting with an piece of email from our imaginary fan base and take you through, introduce our great guest, and they'll be talking about the new tool. And in the end, we're going to give you time to share out with each other kind of what you're taking away from this that might be useful to you. So.
Wonderful, thank you. So let's take a look at our week's email from our imaginary fan base. And today we have a very, very important guest. And wouldn't you know that Socrates wrote to us today, and this is what he said. Dear Tim and Anna, it has always been my true belief that we learn best when we are able to have healthy and positive discussions. Teachers now are challenged to do so many things online, even discussions. What are ways you can encourage, model, and teach healthy and positive discussions when teaching online? Online teaching, goodness, good luck to you all. Socrates, teacher and philosopher.
Ooh, and we had to translate that. You know, he's an ancient Greek, so we had to translate remote learning into modern Greek for that. Yeah.
It was hard work. It was very hard work. It took us hours, right, Tim?
Yes, you are a scholar, I tell you, Anna.
Well, we are so glad that Socrates brought that up because this week's theme is facilitating student-driven discussions. And I am very happy to welcome back Kevin Marlatt. Yes, he is my other half. Kevin Marlatt is our first returning guest at Tools at Tea Time. He was the principal of the Computer Magnet High School at North High School. He was the principal at Kaplan Online Academy. He was the principal at Rifle Middle School, and he's currently the assistant principal at Quist Middle School in Brighton. And if you didn't see it, Kevin's favorite Dr. Seuss quote is, "Think and wonder, wonder and think." All right, Kevin, I'm going to stop sharing and you have control of the screen.
All right. Thank you. Yes, I'm a returning guest, and that means they're getting desperate. So here we go. I want to introduce to you a tool that I think can really empower you to empower your kids around discussions. So let me share my screen and we'll get into a little bit.
And we are not desperate. All my best ideas come from either Kevin or somebody that Kevin coaches. So.
Well, that's too nice. All right, so normally I would put this in present mode so you wouldn't see my slides on the left hand. However, I'm going to be switching between tabs. I just think it'll work better for us this way. So please ignore the left-hand side. We're looking at the center here, and Parlay is designed to facilitate this way online, or synchronously online, or face-to-face facilitated in a classroom. It's flexible to be used in all of those ways. And if you were in the conversation last week, I understand that a major point was it's not what you use, it's how you use it. And while I'm going to show you this tool and you could just use it because it's kind of cool just as it is, it's really how you use it that's going to make the difference. And we'll try to point that out to you, okay? So first, let's just take a look at why it might be important to use Parlay. Discussions. Yes, Socrates. He introduced that to us. That it's very important. Discussion is powerful. If you look here, you can see Hattie has given it a 0.82 effect size when you have discussions with kids. Now, I think most of us know Hattie, but just to be clear, anything above 0.40 means you're getting an effect on learning, at least at 1 year's growth. Anything above that, you're getting more than a year's growth. Right here, we have 0.82. That means you're getting 2 to 3 years growth when you do it well. When you do the how right on discussion, you can expect kids to truly grow from it. It teaches transferable skills like critical thinking and collaboration. It helps build the difference between a learner and a student. If you use Parlay in the right way, you're going to have learners at the end of it. If you just use it, you may still have students. Okay? And it teaches social awareness, empathy, and interpersonal skills when people can speak with each other without acrimony, with true listening. That doesn't happen a lot in our culture right now. So how important is it for us to be making that something kids are successful with? All right, so Parlay has 3 parts to it. Okay, there's what's called the universe, and this is a place where already built discussions are available to you to employ at your will for your purposes. Many of them are created by Parlay themselves. Others are created by teachers that put them out there for others to use, and they're across all different subjects. Any subject you are a part of, you could find a start on a conversation, including SEL skills, warm-ups to build culture in your class, and so forth. You can start with their universe. You can build it as an online roundtable. So this means kids will be typing versus speaking and commenting on each other's comments and so forth. And you can do it in a live way where kids think of Socratic seminar or fishbowl that you may be familiar with in your regular classroom. And maybe you've also heard of something called a spider conversation. Really, this tool handles the spider conversation aspects, and you'll see that in just a second. Here's the how about it all. Why would we do this? Because of engagement. Kids engage across a spectrum, right? On the disengaged side, they disrupt, they avoid, they withdraw. On the engaged side, they participate. And lots of us in schools stop right there and just satisfy, wow, they quit withdrawing, now they're participating, they're doing work, they're paying attention. But that is not where you want to leave them. And Parlay can take you farther. It can take you into them investing or driving in terms of them being the learner. That's what we're hoping Parlay can do for you. Just real quick, here's some different ways Parlay could be used: deep discussions on any topics, silent debates, lit circles, peer-to-peer feedback on, you can put somebody's work out there and they can be giving each other feedback on it. That is also a high yield strategy for effect size. Discussing real world problems, collaborative problem solving, and reflections. You will get a copy of this PowerPoint and you can click out to these links and see examples of those types, okay? All right, so I already talked about this. All Parlay conversations have a prompt. They have an ability for people to either submit their answers to the prompt written or to tap in, as they call it, and speak directly to others that are listening in or they're in the room. We're going to skip that. We're not going to do that. Okay, so you can see here's the prompt. Okay, and kids will type their answers to that. On the teacher side, or even on the peer side, feedback can be given. So not only are they having a discussion, you may be also training them in what good feedback to another looks like. So you can provide stems for them to start with that they use to begin their comment to another person's ideas. And you also are able, as the teacher, to give the same kind of feedback, to nudge them, as they say in Parlay, to nudge them into the conversation and so forth. All of that is accessible both to you as a teacher and to the kids as they're working through the process. You also can have model submissions. We know how powerful an exemplar can be. When you show an exemplar to kids about what their work should look like, it helps increase their ability to perform at this program. You can give assessment based on a rubric. You can teach that to the kids, that they understand what constitutes true engagement in the conversation, what constitutes a great contribution. And lastly, you're going to get some data about that conversation. That's where the how comes in, okay? This is where it becomes powerful because you're going to be able to turn the conversation, the discussion over to the kids, make them accountable, responsible for how it grows and how well they do in conversation by sharing the data with them about how their conversations are actually going. Let me demonstrate that for real quick. Here is a conversation that I had with my staff on a particular topic. Okay, you can see here, there was the prompt. There was a little information in here. Some of this is applicable just to us as a school, but there's the spectrum. We were talking about it. They were looking at this as a background to their conversation. Then they responded to these prompts. Then you can see here are their responses. And then they responded to each other. So you can see here there were, well, I can't see on that one. There's a comment right there to this one, okay? Now, what does that give me? Well, on a summary of this conversation, here's what I see. 82% submitted a response, 50% gave at least one comment. You can see the average length. Here are a word cloud of the powerful words used in their responses. That's really good for me as a teacher. I look at that as a formative thing to say, were they actually talking about the academic vocabulary, about the true concept in here, or were we just using words that don't really connect academically? Then I get down here to this. Here is the spider conversation. This is showing me who talked and who responded to who and how many times. So if I look at this person right here, notice it comes up and it says Trina, comments to Trina, from Trina to Candace, and Candace back to Trina. Here I have a person talking two different ways. Here's a one-way conversation and so on, right? So what can happen is I share this with the kids and say, notice how the conversation went. What kind of goals do we want to set for our conversation? You'll notice that down here at the bottom, they actually give you some reflection questions. If you click on that, you'll get reflection questions you can ask to the kids about how to grow on that. All the way through here. Here's some reflection questions about submissions. Reflection questions about the key words. Why or why not did we have these words? Did anything surprise you? You see how it's leading back to the engagement of the kids and having them own the conversation versus we, the teacher, drive the conversation. We've all been there, and that's sometimes really hard when you're just dragging stuff out of kids. But over time, using this tool multiple times, put the data in front of them, they will own the process. They will set the goals. They will manage the conversation. And now we're talking about some effect size from conversation. Okay. This is an example of what it looks like when you're in a live conversation. What I showed you just before was a typed conversation. Here you can see kids will tap in, they'll challenge an idea, they'll put in a new idea, they'll build on an idea, and they come up in the queue and they speak. Here they're keeping their notes about you can tap in as a teacher and add to the conversation. But this is happening live, maybe face to face, sitting in a circle, talking to each other. It's not really hard to create one. You create a course in Parlay. You decide to create a conversation. It's going to ask you, do you want it to be live? Do you want it to be online? You say whether you want to pick something from the universe or you want to start from scratch or something you've used before, because you can repurpose conversations from other classes. And then you get what is called a magic link. You click on this magic link. When you give it to the kids, it automatically opens that Parlay conversation and they are in it. Now, in the conversation, you can either have real names show, they log in using Google, or you can tell it to keep it anonymous and it assigns them cute little names so nobody knows exactly who is who, except you as a teacher, you can always see who the real person was. So maybe you're talking to Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Daisy and all of that. but they have that anonymity if that's something important for safety as you begin the conversations with them. Again, we talked about the data analysis. So I'm going to, and then lastly, I will be giving you this slideshow, but you're going to get a link to a Google Drive full of resources that teach you about Parlay. There'll be videos about it in practice, seeing how you use it, used with kids and so on. So you'll be able to continue your study of this if you want. One last thing, what does it cost to be in Parlay? So you can do it for free. You can have 12 round tables going at once. Now, that seems like a lot until you know that you have 4 or 5 classes and you want to do it more than once per class. You get to 12 pretty quick. Once you get there, you're going to have to delete a former conversation in order to start a new one. But that might last you quite a while as you're getting this going, okay, depending on the number of courses you have and so forth. We at Quist have bought it for our site, so all teachers have it because we want to use it a lot. We're just getting into it, but we want to use it a lot. So every teacher has it and has unlimited access, and you can see the costs there for that. We think we can use this for asynchronous learning, even like a flipped lesson could be done in a Parlay and so forth. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I don't know how I'm doing on time out there. Am I pushing it or?
Well, actually, we need to get into our breakout rooms.
Right.
If you have time after the show to sit with us for a little bit and answer questions, it would be a great,
Yeah.
great thing for us.
Yeah, there's nobody at home waiting for me, so I'll stay around.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, while we're going to breakout, there is a question if you want to type an answer in the chat about what's the earliest grade level you've used this with. I can see it. I don't think you can see the question. So
Yeah, we are a middle school, so I've only used it with 6 through 8 so far. But I don't see any reason why someone from 4th on certainly makes sense to me if they can do this. All I know is my grandson is already messing around with screens and knows how to work them, and he's only 11 months. So maybe we undershoot their ability to do things. I think they do have to be able to express ideas in conversation, but I think in a live session where they were face-to-face with you, wow. Anna taught 2nd graders. I think 2nd graders could do something like this.
yeah, cool.
I agree. Well, let's go into our community check-in, Tim is going to share the breakout prompt with us.
Yeah, our breakout prompt is, so what are ways that you're facilitating discussion with your students, and how might Parlay be able to add to what you're really doing? So how are you intentionally trying to get more of that high effect size discussion into your classroom? I will copy and paste that prompt into the chat once you guys go out to the chat.
All right. So if you get a request for room 1, do not accept it. Stay with us so we can record the conversation. So room 1, stay with us. Okay, here we go.
All you have to do is hit accept when it pops up. Unless you're in room 1, don't hit accept. I see them going out, and I will check to make sure nobody's in a room by themselves. If you.
No, it looks good.
Okay, there's the prompt for everybody too.
Well, and I know that Caitlin had a question on the chat, but now you can ask him, Caitlin.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for showing a really powerful tool. I actually love starting my class with discussions, and doing it synchronously has been kind of a challenge to make sure everybody's getting their voice heard. So I actually make them do it in Google Classroom first. They've got their idea down, and then we share out loud. So that way I know at least I'm going to hear from everybody, even if it's later going to do that. So this is another great way to do it. But I'm wondering, can I embed it in any other technology, or is it strictly a standalone app? Like they have to log into Parlay to use it?
Yeah, okay. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't embed it in something like Pear Deck or Nearpod, because it's just a website like other kinds of websites. The discussions that you build inside of Parlay also allow you to embed media from other sources. So if you wanted a video in as your prompt in your discussion, you can embed that from YouTube, Vimeo, upload it from your own drive, whatever. So it has embedding itself, and there's no reason it wouldn't embed in some of that other kind of media like Pear Deck and so on. So they don't have to jump out. I know it's like 1,000 tools and every kid's got to jump to another one. Now they got 5 tabs open and they're lost. So I get that.
Yeah, between our labs and getting them back to Pear Deck for your next certificate question, that's enough that they're like, I have to go back to that. I already closed that.
Right.
Oh my. Well, what are some other ways that you guys facilitate discussion in your classrooms?
And Kevin, I have a question. How does Parlay work when they're all together in the same space? You said it could be used in the in-person classroom. How does it work?
Yeah.
That's why my hand's up too.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a video in the presentation and you'll see that when you all get that. But basically, imagine kids all have a Chromebook, or a group of them have a Chromebook, and they're sitting in a circle and the prompt's given. What do you think about X, right? And then they use their technology to tap in and they just speak to the class. They take their notes on the side in their Chromebook or whatever. So they're preparing for their comment, but they basically just talk to each other and track their participation. When they go to speak, they want to click tap in. That logs that I participated, I talked, I said something. If I was adding an idea to Tim, I would click on add an idea. And then we know that conversation that Kevin added something to what Tim said. And that all gets tracked. And then that's what gets shared with the kids. And this is what a spider conversation is. You know, a spider conversation, old school, the teacher would be making notes. This kid talked to that kid. And this kid said something over to this kid. But then this kid responded to this kid, and it builds this web, looks like a spider web. And then that gets shown to kids to say, here's what it looked like. And if there's not a lot of lines going back and forth, it's like, we didn't really talk to each other. We just said single things and moved on. But when you see all these lines going around, it's like, we talk back and forth to each other. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for a graph like this. Parlay is taking care of that for you.
That is super cool. So when you tap in, you can tap different buttons, like an add-on button or a new idea button or something.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I can click a challenge button. Like, I want to challenge your idea. So if I don't agree with you, I'm going to click challenge. Then I'm going to come up and say, yeah, I hear what Tim's saying, but I don't think he's considering this.
Wow. So it really gets kids to think about different ways of participating in the discussion. You know,
Yes.
there's all these different ways I can participate. That's cool.
Right. And you'll find that they'll start off with everybody just contributes a new idea. So they're just kind of like talking to themselves the whole time.
Mhm.
And then
But
you
you would
challenge
lose
them
the
with the
word
data to
cloud.
say, we want to build on ideas, right?
We would lose the word cloud, right? We wouldn't have, it's not transcribed or anything, right?
No, it's not transcribed. You'd use the word cloud to decide what kinds of words were said in it. And you'd use that little graph to decide who talked to who and how often. And then there's a list of how many people contributed an idea, how many challenged, how many added to an idea, and so forth.
So I think Tabby's saying that the words in the word cloud are only the ones that people type in. It wouldn't be ones that they speak.
Ah, yeah, that's right. It wouldn't be ones that they speak. Correct.
I see. Well, I see that we have one hand raised, and if you could stay a little bit after with us, Kevin will be here to answer questions. But I think we're all back from our rooms. So we're going to come down to the end.
Yes, it looks like, Anna, like we've reached the end. So everybody should know that the episode resources for this folder, thank you, Kevin, for giving us all those resources, are in this short URL here, or you can hold your phone up and scan it. And Ugo, the hero of the day, always sends it out in the follow-up email too. You'll get the link in there. The recording of this episode, give it about a week, and the recording will be up if you want to rewatch it, or you have a friend who wants to watch it. So be sure to look for that. That's on our website at dmns.org.
And thank you for spending another half hour with us. And next week, join us when our special guest will be Gina Franca Lancia Contiene. And we're going to have to ask her to spell or pronounce her name the right way because I probably killed it. Anyway, she's a SPED teacher at one of the high schools here in Brighton, and she's going to show some really cool ways to help kids create portfolios.
Yes. And the museum until the end of the year has a good deal going on. You should spread the word that any programs for students are either 50% or 100% off. They're 50% off for all schools. And if your school is 50% free and reduced lunch, it's completely free. We even have some scholarships for bus. Now, when I say programs, I don't just mean field trips, although we are open for field trips. But I also mean like the programs that come out to your school, the kits, and the virtual programs like Scientists in Action. It's a great way that we're still trying to support all of you in these challenging times. So check that out. Can you hit the forward button, Anna?
Yep.
Yeah, it's 100% off for everything if your school is 50% free and reduced lunch. So yes, Tabby.
I'm in Indiana, as you guys probably remember. And my kids, so I teach like a range, but all of my middle school kids will be going on exciting adventures with the Denver Museum. And throughout the rest of the year, they're going to be doing the heart one group's going to do the art one that we did on our teacher night. So exciting.
Thanks to their wonderful teacher. Yes. So you don't have to come to us, although we
Thank you,
love it when you
Tabby.
do. Yeah.
You know, though, I put the link on my Google Classroom for the stuff that's going on this month, and they're really jealous that they weren't able to drive to the museum and pick up their kit.
Well, Ugo, there you go. Road trip. Okay.
Well, and
Down.
thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. And I like that, you know, you're not locally. So we can still reach for those resources, even if you're not here in Colorado. So, and if you had fun, please tell your friends to join us next Tuesday. Let us know what topics would be helpful to you. And until then, we'll see you next Tuesday.
I feel like it should rhyme since it's Dr. Seuss. Yeah.
I know, right? I should
Yeah.
have written some kind of a rhyme. But if you want to hang out for a few minutes, Kevin will be here and he can answer questions. I know there was one from Apricot that we never got to. So there we go. All right. And thank you, Kevin, for doing this for us.
Sure.
Yes. Thank you, Kevin.
All right. So what was your question?
Yeah, so is there a way in there to filter like the kids' responses to make sure they're appropriate? Like, can the teacher go in and take them out of the conversation if they need to? So
Yeah, I believe you can turn on moderation so they don't automatically post right off the top, and you can check that out before it goes on.
Okay, thank you.
Nice. The thing that strikes me the most about Parlay, I mean, it's such a cool program, but depending on the age of the kids, they really don't know how to lead or be a part of a conversation. That's why they say so many things that stand alone. But the fact that they have to like click something to add an idea or tap in or whatever, they are then making that connection, and it helps them have a richer conversation, the spider conversation that you mentioned, instead of just saying things, you know?
Yeah,
I was
it
excited.
helps avoid the calling on hands, right? Like you just constantly kids popping up answers all over the place. It's not really conversation.
Right.
I thought that it was interesting to be able to help my kids learn. So right now, a conversation that if we post something is a lot of like, I agree with so-and-so, nice idea, so-and-so. And I think that the word cloud, I'm excited for them to see, good job, good job, good job, being huge in the word cloud, for them to see like that's not really something of substance, and look how much you're using it. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Reminds me of these, Tim, that I stole from your summer class, all of your sentence stems. That'd be a great resource for that folder.
Yeah, and Parlay provides a lot of good sentence stems to help students begin to create powerful expressions. They will fade from that over time, but you can include those to support them.
Now, Caitlin, you don't have those taped to like your dining room table, do you, where you use them in the evening? I agree with my husband, and I would like to add that.
Not the dining room table. There are a couple copies on my desk at home, but most of them are taped to the tables at school.
Good.
Well, but you know what, Tim? I remember years and years ago doing, well, not that many years ago, a few years ago, doing a training with you and Rob, and you guys gave us some.
That's what Caitlin was just holding him up just now.
Oh, yes. I didn't see that. Well, I'll tell you, that totally changed the sixth grade team that I was working with, because the kids actually knew what to say, right?
Yeah, it's true. It worked at the last, I stole it from the last school I was teaching at, and it really did work. I mean, you reach a point where those 9 sentence stems get a little tired and the kids start being, fooling around with them. But then it's good to say, okay, it's time to leap off. What other ways can you disagree respectfully, or what other ways can you add on to the last thought? And they really do, but they loved it. They love getting clicks from each other, whenever one, snaps, whenever somebody would add on, I agree with KO, and I would like to add that, all the kids would click for them, and it didn't interrupt the conversation, but they definitely got a pat on the back. Yeah.
Yep.
This is great.
Yes. Sorry, Tim.
No, I can't wait to use this, Kevin. I just think that spider web thing, even during a face-to-face, is going to be such a useful tool to any teacher.
Yes, it is. And again, it's how you use it, right? You could just use Parlay and you drive the conversation and they just have a conversation. But if you go that next step, then you can push for engagement of investing and driving. And that's where the gold of 0.82 effect size can be had.
That's awesome. Well, I don't know if there's any more burning questions, but Kevin has to go home and make dinner for his wife. So we don't want to hold him any longer than he needs to.
You're out of here, Kevin.
I'm out of here. See ya.
We do appreciate it, and I think Parlay is a pretty powerful tool. So thank you for giving us a little look into it. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks for the inspiration.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Have a good week, everybody.